We have some great stories to tell about America's public diplomacy efforts around the world. However, many people know little or nothing about what we're doing. Whether you work for the Department of State or USAID, we have to find better ways of communicating all of our terrific work. And by far, the most powerful means of telling our story is visually, through images. World opinion is affected by images. We need to use images as tools in the world of public diplomacy. The purpose of this video is to get you to think visually and to learn how to use images to catch people's attention. The U.S. is a generous and caring country. How can we communicate that visually? When you're planning an event, you probably start by thinking of questions like, where should we hold the event? Who will write the ambassador's speech? Who's on the guest list? And then on the day of the event, almost as an afterthought, someone will ask, quick, where's the camera and who can take the photos? We need to change that sequence so that at the same time that we are planning an event, we are also thinking about this question. What is the image that we want to capture from this event? The pictures you take should grab the viewer's attention. They need to show action, emotion, tell a story, or all three. Let's look at some examples. One of the most dynamic programs at the State Department is our sports diplomacy. In sports diplomacy, we not only teach sports and teamsmanship and English, we instill self-confidence and self-esteem. Does this photo convey that? What about this one? If you look at the faces of the players, you will know that our sports diplomacy program has changed their lives forever. There may not be a news article that will say that, but the picture will tell it all. It was a very good idea to have the banners behind the subjects in this shot, but unfortunately, they're hard to read. Also, notice the problem with the shade and the light. Instead of showing children holding sports equipment, it's better to show them actually using it. Here we see Marines in Cyprus teaching orphan children how to play American football. The result is an excellent picture that shows how the usually portrayed hard power U.S. Marines can effectively project the soft power that they often do, but are rarely recognized for doing. Our embassy in Denmark had partnered with an NGO to use sports to help immigrant youth integrate into Danish sports clubs. The basketball coaches went into local neighborhoods to build up the skills of these young people in practice sessions. Ambassador Kane joined in one of the sessions and suggested the high five for the cameras. The picture creates a feeling of action, and the background communicates that you are engaging with the people in this immigrant neighborhood. This photo of Michelle Kwan was taken in Kalmykia, Russia. Notice that she's not looking directly at the camera in a staged pose, but is seen actually engaging in public diplomacy. Around her, colorful dress, media cameras, and smiling faces tell the story of U.S. engagement with this foreign audience. A perfect example of public diplomacy in action. The U.S. military has an excellent public diplomacy outreach program. When a Navy ship comes into a foreign port, you can often find the servicemen and women painting local schools or repairing orphanages, but all too often, this is the image that we see. Please, no more pictures of battleships. How about something like this instead? Suddenly, the most interesting thing about the destroyer isn't the weapons, but the Americans on board who are making such a difference to the community. Instead of projecting power, they are projecting our public diplomacy efforts. This is an image of an embassy event. Would you want to be there? We don't know where it's taking place, what country it's in, or what the event is about. The angle is wrong, it's shot into the light, and it's got a boring background. Who wants to see the back of a television and a few empty chairs? The photo does not tell an interesting story. This photo shows action and excitement. Our ambassador in Malta is with the rock star Akon, who is clearly a big hit with the locals. There are smiles all around, and cell phone cameras are at the ready to capture the exciting event. If you were planning an event that included your ambassador, two of the most important senators in the U.S. Congress, and a banner that you spent a lot of time and money to create that reminds everyone of our 200-year relationship with Russia, How would you visualize it? Like this? First, we don't have the senators in a nice tight shot with the ambassador. What we do see are lots of water bottles and microphones. If we had just spent a few minutes planning this in advance, we would have realized that we needed to ask the ambassador to sit at the end of the table so that when he gets up to speak, he would be in the shot with the senators, and we wouldn't end up with an empty chair. Second, the banner should have been moved or the picture needed to be taken from a different angle. All of this could have been realized and easily done with just a few minutes of thinking and planning ahead. Speaking of banners, notice that when public relations professionals in the private sector create banners, the logo and the name repeats so that it can always be read from every direction. We can use these same ideas to come up with ways to help our embassies brand their efforts better. Here's a picture that is a great example of what happens when you get it all right. The background banner displays in words what is being reinforced by the image. Diversity dialogues, engaging, connecting, and sharing. It's about building bridges and sharing ideas. It's public diplomacy visualized. Can you imagine planning an occasion like this and contemplating what is the image we want to capture from this event? Well, we want the ambassador, plus the Native American Indian speaker, the choir, and of course the Queen of England, and the public affairs staff got it all. One of the most challenging events to try to take a photo of is a presentation with a speaker or speakers, particularly if they're using PowerPoint. The problem with taking photos of events like these with a speaker, audience, and PowerPoint is that we tend to end up with the backs of heads and screens with images that we cannot see. Instead, try to find another way of taking a photo of that event. You don't have to stand at the back of the room. As a photographer, you can go anywhere you need to so you can get the best shot. People understand that, so don't be shy. The difference between a photo that doesn't work and one that does is often positioning. In this photo, the photographer moved to the side to take the picture. This is a fairly good photo of an event with speaker. Sure, we have some backs of heads, but we also see that the people on the far left are engaged with the speaker. Always try to capture an image of the speaker in motion, as he is here, gesturing. Avoid shots of a speaker looking down and reading notes. You may even want to script a place in your ambassador or principal's speech where they gesture and look up from their notes if they don't do this naturally. Here again, we are presented with a photo in which we can barely see the presenter, but we can see the back of a lot of heads. Our goal should be either to get a tight shot of the speaker and the PowerPoint so that we know what the topic is, or get behind the speaker to show the engagement of the speaker with the audience. This means making sure that the podium is out far enough that a photographer can get behind it. This is an example of a panel discussion with PowerPoint which shows how difficult it is to get a good photo of such an event. The image quality is poor, we cannot see what is on the projector screen, and it's a bad camera angle. The photo doesn't tell us anything about what this public diplomacy activity or event was about. Tables can create not only a physical, but a psychological barrier to the audience. And when they're laden with water bottles, name cards, and microphones, there's even more of a barrier. Put them in chairs without tables in front, or on stools if you can. It will make the event much more interesting.